Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to be doing a new class where hopefully we won't get any technical issues. Let me just admit this person here as well. Okay, so I would like to choose someone to start off the class with me, and I would like them to read this dua with me. So let me just choose. Okay, Atfal A08, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well done. Okay, you're coming through loud and clear. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, there should be a dua, some duas on there, yes?
Yes.
Okay, well done. Okay, so we're going to start with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, always remembering Allah in everything that we do. And we're going to read this dua here to start off with. So if you follow me, okay. Rajim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. Rabbi.
Rabbi Zidni.
Sorry. Okay. If you follow after me, okay, I'll read it first, and then you follow after me.
Okay.
Rabbi. Alimni.
Alimni.
Ma huwa.
Ma huwa.
Khairun.
Khairun.
Indak.
Undak.
Indak.
Indak.
Okay. And the translation is written underneath here where it says, "Oh my Lord." Would you mind reading that for me, please?
Okay. Oh my Lord, teach me what is best for me in your knowledge.
Well done. Okay. That was done very well. There's some more people who want to join the class, so let me just let them in.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Atfal A08. I'm just going to mute you again now.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome everybody to our class. Today we are going to cover a fair amount of stuff. We're going to start off by recapping some of the things that were done last week, so that we can make sure that we've got everything up to speed. So without further ado, we are going to go and recap on this particular lesson here. Okay, last week I was listening to some of the students as they were reading out, and mashallah, the pronunciation was excellent. I was incredibly impressed by how people were sounding out their letters, which makes the work of the teachers much easier. But for those of us that for those of you that I haven't heard yet, and for those of you that are still working on pronunciation, I'm going to read out this alphabet as it should be read, and then you'll be able to view it on any recordings, on the recording that will come through later on. And then if you want to practice on a particular sound, you can do, because you can always access the recordings. So here we go. Let me just see if I can highlight. Okay. Alif. Ba. Da. Sa. Notice I did that for about 2 seconds. Jim. I do that for a little bit longer. There is a reason why I have done it for a little bit longer, but you don't need to worry about that. Just notice how I ended the sound. G. I ended the sound without dragging out the meme at the end. And how I did that was by closing my lips and stopping the sound. If I read it one more time, G. What I didn't do was G. And what I also didn't do was G. I didn't drag the meme sound out at the end. I didn't bounce it. I finished it quite clearly and distinctly. One more time. G. There's not very many times that you're going to read the alphabet in this way, but when you get to read the Quran Majid, you will find often that you do have to end sounds clearly and distinctly, and other times you have to drag the sound out. So it's something that you could just work on, how to end the sound properly. Okay, here we go. Ha, ho, dal. Notice I didn't drag the lam out at the end. Can you see at the bottom here, it's spelt out, this letter, all the sounds that make it up. There's a l at the end. I didn't drag the lam at the end. Dal, zal, ra, za, sin. Notice again, I didn't drag the noon at the end. I ended the sound clearly. Sheen, Sod, Dod, Do, Zo, Ain. This particular letter here, Ain, is a letter that you find in the Middle Eastern countries, in the Arab-speaking world, and you won't find it in many other languages, as far as I'm aware. And it's a letter which actually isn't particularly difficult to read, but sometimes people do have difficulty. And if you do, one of the techniques that I found works is if you take two fingers, the first two fingers of your hand, and you put them on your neck, halfway down in the middle of your throat, and then see if you can say it that way. Ain. And you should find that that's roughly where the sound will come from. And if you can't get it straight away, have a practice. At your age, you should be able to, with a little bit of practice, get hold of that sound. It's quite important to get hold of this sound, because if you don't read this particular sound properly, some of the words that you read will change their meaning. Ghain, Fa, Qaf, Kaf, Lam. Notice there's a meme sound at the end. There's three letters here that make up the sounds of this particular letter. I didn't drag the meme out at the end. I finished the sound clearly and distinctly. Meme, Noon, Wow, Ha, Hamza, Ya. Okay, just a couple of things. This Ha, and let me just go up here. This Ho, and this Ha. They're different sounds, and you should work at trying to make sure that they all sound different. This Ha, if you did what I told you to do with the Ain, put your fingers on the middle of your throat and see if you can feel your throat moving when you make this sound. Ha. This one comes from a little bit higher up. Ho. And this other one down here, it's as if you're sighing. So you take a breath, ha, and it comes from much lower down. Okay, so now let me just have a quick chat with one of the students here. Let me choose Atfal A05. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alexander. Did you hear what I was saying there?
Yes.
Okay, so this will all be on the recording, and if you need to practice on your sounds, you can come back to the recording and listen to it and practice on the sounds as you need to. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm just going to mute you again. Okay, because of the way the class is going to run today, there's quite a lot to cover. And this was covered last week anyway. I'm not going to listen to anybody here, but it's one of those things where you can practice on. Okay, so without further ado, let's move on to the next thing that we are going to recap on. Okay, here we are. Now, last week, one very sweet young lady asked the teacher, what is a thick and heavy sound? The easiest way to describe it is just to sound letters out. So, for example, this particular letter here and this particular letter here, let me read the two of them together, and then you can see what the difference between a thick and heavy sound is. This particular letter here with the two dots is da, and this letter here is do. I don't know if you could tell the difference. Da, do. This one here, it's almost as if I'm smiling as I'm saying it. Da. Here, I'm rounding my mouth a lot more. Do. Similarly, with this particular letter and this particular letter, za, zo. I don't know if you can tell, but when I read this particular letter, it's almost as if I'm smiling. I'm almost grinning because my mouth opens up in that way. Za. This one is far more rounded. Zo, zo. Okay. Let me just read this particular letter and this particular letter. Okay. Ain, Ghain, and you should be able to tell the difference there. Now let me see if I can get a hold of another student. Aha. Okay, I am finding only a file at the moment, but let's go for it. At file A02. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Okay, I just quickly went through thick and heavy sounds and tried to demonstrate what they were all about. Did you get any sort of understanding?
I just got the sound, so I didn't really hear anything.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
The sound wasn't working for quite a while, so I didn't really hear anything.
All right, okay then, not to worry. I'm just going to mute you again then for a second. Let me speak to, okay, this is a Nasrat. So let's have a young lady now. Nasrat, 43. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Darling, I was just reading out some of these sounds and I was trying to explain thick and heavy sounds and how they are slightly different. See these letters here, the red letters?
Yes.
And how they're slightly different to the rest of the letters. Did you get an understanding as to what I was doing?
Yes.
Okay, well done. Okay, so a general rule of thumb is when you're saying these fat letters or the thick and heavy sounds, you round your mouth a lot more. When you say the other letters, it's almost as if you're smiling. Okay, and again, if you need to practice on that, you've got the recording and the sounds are here. So do make sure that you come back and practice on that. Okay. So now, okay, thank you so much. And I'm just going to mute you again. Okay, right. Let me move on now to the next. Okay, here we go. Right. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to recap over very quickly was some of these combined letters. And the first letter that I wanted to look at was, let me get my highlighter again. This alif here, alif here, and alif here. And my fellow teacher on Friday went through this lesson very well, and she went through and explained to you how the letters change their how they look depending on whether they're at the beginning of the word, whether they're in the middle of the word, or whether they're at the end. Okay, and I just wanted to show how to spot the difference between an alif and another letter, which sometimes you can get confused over when you're reading in the Quran Majid. And that is, here we are, the lam. Okay, now I'm going to have to scroll up and down the screen, which is a bit unfortunate. It would be nice to have them side by side, but if you notice this lam here, it joins on, okay? If you see this lam here in the middle, this letter here joins into it, and the lam also joins to the next letter. One second. Can somebody deal with that, please? Sorry. Okay. Now, if I go back to the alif, okay, notice that this alif here doesn't join onto the bar here. Here, this letter joins into the alif, but this alif doesn't join onto the next letter. And when you're reading the Quran Majid, sometimes the alif and the lam can look very similar, but the way to tell them apart, you will just get to know with practice. But when you start off, the way to get to know the way to get to see which letter it is that you're reading is that the alif never joins on to this side. The lam does. So that's one thing that you can keep in mind. Okay. The next thing that I wanted to point out was this letter here, and in particular when it's like this, and this letter also. I want you to notice this letter here is dal, and this is dal. Okay. Notice how this letter here joins into the dal from the bottom. It joins into it from the bottom and then goes round. From here, it joins into the bottom of this dal and then goes round. Now, if you compare it to the ra and the za, notice how this letter joins onto the ra, but it joins onto it from the top and it goes round. Here, it joins onto the za from the top and it goes down. And that's one of those things that when you're reading the Quran Majid, sometimes it's a little bit difficult just because of the way it's been written to tell the difference between this and this. But the way that you can try and work it out is to know that the za, okay, let's just go back to there for a moment. Okay, ignore all of the highlights. I'm not sure what happened there, but the way to tell the difference is in the case of a dal and a dhal, it joins from the bottom. In the case of a ra and a za, it joins from the top. Okay. Okay, now let me just get hold of, okay. Atfal A05.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, darling. Okay, I was just going through and explaining how to tell the difference between the ra and the za, and the dal and the dhal. And did you understand how to tell the difference between the two of them? That it joins on from the bottom with this particular letter, and it joins on from the bottom on this particular letter, and here it joins from the top.
Yes.
Yes? Okay then. At the moment it looks very, very easy, and in fact actually is easy, but sometimes, just sometimes, people can get confused. So that's a way of remembering. Okay, so I am just going to mute you again now for a second. Thank you so much. Okay, so now without further ado, let's get going to the next bit. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to have a practice at some of the letters in the joined up form. And I'm going to choose a student to help read with me. Okay. Atfal A11. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Welcome.
Walaikum salam, darling. Okay, I would like you to read with me these letters here. Would you like to try and read them by yourself?
No.
Yes?
No.
Okay, they're fantastic. So, can you start from here?
Alif,
Well done.
La, Ra,
Well done.
Ha, Ba. Wait, no. Noon,
It's a meme.
Meme,
Yes.
Noon,
Well done. Alif, Lam, Ra, Ha, Meme, Noon. Okay, this one here.
Alif, Lam, Ra, Ha,
It has 2 dots and it's underneath.
I don't
Okay,
know.
that's okay, no worries. It's a ya. Let me just go back to, and I'll show you very quickly where they are. Here we are. This lesson here. Okay, see here, the ya, it comes in a bend and it has 2 dots at the bottom. When it's in the middle, it joins in and it goes round and there's 2 dots at the bottom. The 2 dots are what decide that it's a ya, okay? If it was just 1 dot and it was on the top, it's the same shape, but the dot's at the top. That is the noon. Okay, so for you to practice, just go back to this exercise and have a practice at that, okay, but not to worry. Okay, so this is a ya.
Meme,
Well done. Alif, Lam, Ra, Ha, Ya, Meme. And this,
Alif, Lam,
well done.
Ba,
Okay, see this letter here? It's just like this letter here.
Meme,
Well done, okay.
Lam,
Well done, okay.
Ka,
Gaf, well done, okay. Alif, Lam, Meme, Lam, Gaf. And then finally this one.
Alif, Lam,
Well done.
Ra.
Okay. It's got 2 dots and they're at the top, but it's gone round in a circle. Okay, let me just go back up to here and show you which letter it is. Does it look like this one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you just need to practice on that previous exercise. and inshallah you'll be fine. So you've got alif, lam, and
Va.
qaf.
Qaf. Lam.
Okay. This is I was just talking about it, and I was talking about how the previous letter will join on to it from the bottom. Can you remember which one I was talking about?
Is it the Alif?
Okay, let me just go back to it and I'll show you here. Okay, this one here. Does that look familiar? Yeah, okay, well done. Okay. Okay, so alif, lam, qaf, dal.
Yaw.
Wow, well
Wow.
done. And this one here? It has.
Sin.
Well done. Okay. Thank you so much. You should go back and practice on that exercise where the letters are joined up. And after practicing it, you'll find that you'll get to know some of the letters fairly well. Concentrate on the ones where the dots are to start off with, okay? And then work your way up from there. Okay, thank you so much for your help. Let me just go back and mute you here. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the entire exercise here, but these are all what are known as attributes of Allah. All of these, Ar-Rahman, when you get to read, you'll be able to see that this is actually saying Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Mu'min, okay? They're all attributes of Allah. There is only one name for God, which is Allah. I know in this country, God gets used a lot, but the proper name for God is Allah. But the way we know Allah is through his attributes. And the best way for me to describe to you what attributes are, if you compare when you're at school, you might know someone who talks quite a lot. And whenever you think of her, you might think, oh yes, she's always chatty. There may be somebody that you know who will always lend you her things if you've forgotten them. And you can always think, oh, she's always kind. And there are other people who might always be helpful. And you could say that being chatty, being kind, being helpful, they're part of who they are. That's one of their attributes. And that's a very simple way of describing to you how to understand maybe what the attributes of Allah are. Okay. You can, if you would like to, I can direct you to, just bear with me for a second. There is a website, Al-Islam, that's our website. And the address I've got up here, again, if you came back to the recording, you'll be able to read it. You go to alislam.org, library, articles, the attributes of God. Okay, and here, this article is really quite good. And it has the attributes of Allah written on them. Okay, and it gives you a little bit of understanding as to their meanings as well. Okay. Okay, so now I will go back to my lesson here. Okay, so I'm going to go forward from here. There is quite a lot more letters on this page, but we will go through the letters in another exercise as well. But I just wanted to go through that. The letters obviously form words, and in this particular exercise, the attributes of Allah have been mentioned. If we now go on to this exercise here, I'm going to choose another person to help me. Atfal, A21.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, darling. Okay, I would like to ask you to help me in reading out some of these letters. So, would you be able to have a go by yourself?
Yes.
Okay, here we go then.
Alif,
Well done.
Dal, Mim. Noon, Waw, Ha, Alif, Dal, Ra, Ya, Sin, Alif, Ba, La, Ha, Mim.